Good morning, Sean, Akwalaki, delegates, Ked Fáilte, and good shog at the Ard all. Ladies and gentlemen, enterprise and job creation are keys to a fair Ireland and an Ireland for all. And enterprising communities will be the heart of recovery, a recovery that's not just confined to certain areas, a recovery that must be spread across the island of Ireland. Over the past 5 years, Fine Gael and Labour have introduced 5 regressive budgets, each one worse than the last, each targeting the weakest and benefiting the strongest. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Fine Gael way. Because in government, when it comes to Labour in this particular government, Fine Gael have thrown them out of the boat so often that it's no wonder Joan fell overboard in Kilkenny in December. This government have also driven a two-tier geographical recovery. This city is doing relatively well. There are still serious challenges in communities across the city, but under this government it is being allowed to account for 42% of our economy. Compare that to London, that accounts for 20% of the economy of England. In 2014, 94% of all jobs created were created in one particular part of the country. And while that's good for some people, what it does is it drives up your rental costs. It puts people on the streets. It puts people under serious traffic issues. It puts infrastructure under pressure whilst communities are dying around the country. That has to change because nobody wins from that. And this government, after 5 years in office, have suddenly discovered regional jobs strategies. They suddenly realise that there are regions, but they're so short-sighted that yesterday they announced 7 regional chairs of these jobs action plans. They announced 7 men to chair them, totally ignoring the role of women in enterprise, totally ignoring people like our colleague Senator Mary White, who know what it is to wake up on a Monday morning and not know if you're going to be able to pay yourself on the Friday evening, who know what it is to work every single day of the year to create jobs, to create enterprise, to employ others. This government talks about entrepreneurs, but when it comes to walking the walk, it has failed spectacularly. We have produced policies that focus on regenerating our regional towns, that focus on providing locally based, locally sustainable enterprise across the island, that give support to business people to create the businesses where they want to do. We have looked for support for our regional airports, such as Ireland West Airport and Knock, to act as regional hubs for job creation, for enterprise-driven economy, a locally enterprise-driven economy. And in our manifesto, we will include a commitment to replicate the success of the digital hub here in the Liberties across the country by working with local authorities to put the facilities in place to give the support to digital entrepreneurs, whether they want to be in Mayo or Dublin, in Kerry or Donegal. The digital economy should not have any geographical boundaries. Fianna Fáil in government will make sure that it doesn't. Entrepreneurs, too, need support. As I have said, we have a champion here in Mary White. But this government talks about entrepreneurs, and Fine Gael keep telling them that they support them, but the practicalities aren't there. Fine Gael haven't created any jobs. Business people create the jobs, and we need to give business people more support. We in government will establish a state enterprise bank to break up the cosy consensus that is there between the pillar banks at the moment. That means that we have the biggest and the highest banking fees for businesses in the European Union, to mean that banking services to businesses are more and more restricted, that if you are in retail, that the bank will tell you what days you can lodge money and what days you cannot. We need to break up the consensus to challenge the banks, and creating an enterprise bank will do that. We will reallocate resources to support employers who create jobs by aligning their PRSI to job creation figures. The more jobs they create, the less PRSI they will pay within their business. That is a fundamental and substantial support as much to entrepreneurs and to job seekers. We will give practical support, not pats on the back or pats on the head, as this government seeks and sustains to do. And most importantly of all, If it goes wrong for a business person, if the dream doesn't happen, we will give them social protection and provide for social support to give them the encouragement and the financial support to get back on the road again, to use their energy and use their commitment to restart a new business, to give employment again. Because in the last number of years, many who took the risk, for whom it didn't work, have been abandoned by Fine Gael and Labour, abandoned to the banks, abandoned to the moneylenders. Fianna Fáil government will be there to support them and help them in their time of need. An Ireland for all is one where workers must be rewarded, where work must be rewarded, and where workers must be protected. In Fine Gael's Ireland, on the GPO, right opposite it, you have the wonderful Cleary's department store. In Fine Gael's Ireland, at 5 o'clock on a Friday evening, you can be told that no matter how much service you have given, your job is gone. See yourself out the door within the hour and don't come looking to us for support. That's Fine Gael's Ireland. Our Ireland is an Ireland of the GPO. It's an Ireland of the proclamation. It's an Ireland of fairness and of equality. And in government, we will ban the practice of zero-hour contracts. We will bring in banded hour contracts. And I have asked the Office of Director of Corporate Enforcement to investigate everything that happened in the run-in to the closure of Cleary's and the abandonment of nearly 500 workers. And while other parties, Sinn Féin, proclaim themselves to be the champion of workers and the champion of the lower paid on this island, but yet they will go to New York and collect $500,000 from corporate America, where all these schemes got dreamed up in the first place. Our commitment to workers is real, it's honest, and it's not out of two sides of our mouth. An Ireland for all, ladies and gentlemen, is also an Ireland and an island for young people. Under Fine Gael and Labour, 149,000 third-level graduates have left this island and left this country to seek their future elsewhere. That's 149,000 families around this country that have been decimated. That's 149,000 sets of parents who have given all to get their children through third-level education and now see that going to another country. We've got to bring them home. We've got to give them the opportunities to come home, not just to specific parts of the island, but across the island. And we in government will do that by focusing on young people, by encouraging them to start up their own businesses, by giving them the practical supports to bring their knowledge and their talent back home to this country. By looking at our apprenticeship scheme. Under Fine Gael and Labour in government, we have an apprenticeship scheme that has collapsed. There has been a 30% decline in apprentices recorded in this country during their time in government. This country needs an apprenticeship scheme. We need to give our young people the opportunity to learn a skill and a talent that they can bring to any part of the island and that they can use. This isn't a country just for third-level graduates. It's a country for all young people, and Fianna Fáil government will do that too. Enterprise and innovation is a good thing. Job creation is something that we need to encourage and drive and foster. An Ireland for all delegates isn't an election slogan. It's not the kind of thing you do at election time. It is what drives this party. It is the ethos that underlines the flame that we took from 1916 and from the Fianna Fáil men and women that sparked that flame that day. It is what drives us in government and what will drive us in the next government. And it is the essential difference between us and the other parties. Equality and fairness are what drives a real Republican Party. A real Republican Party supports entrepreneurs. It supports job creation. It doesn't crucify them. And there is only one party that can do that. And I look forward to hearing from my candidate colleagues in the coming minutes as they outline their priorities in their areas. But let's leave here this evening after our day's work and let's drive the fight home on the doors for this party, that an Ireland for all, an Ireland of equality, an Ireland of fairness can only be delivered by one party. That's Fianna Fáil.